Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on object level security, part 2. So today we'll be talking about permission sets, what can be controlled by a permission set, different types of permission sets, some important points as well, and then we will be diving into our dev org and understanding how to use permission sets in the system. So starting with what are permission sets? A permission set is a collection of settings and permissions that give user an access similar to that of profile, but it is kind of an extra edge from a profile, so you can enhance your permissions or give extra permission to certain set of users with same profiles, right? So I'll dive into it in our next slide here, but just to give you a glimpse of it is more for permission in addition to what you already have from your profiles. So what all can be controlled by a permission set? It controls object level permissions, field level permission, user permissions, tabs, app settings, and Apex classes, and a couple of other things as well. And then there are different types of permission sets. Now, before we dive into the types of permission set, what is the benefit of a permission set, right? So, profile, there can be only one profile which is assigned to a user, but we can assign multiple permission sets to a user, right? And so, for example, we have configured a profile, say sales manager, right? And now there's a sales manager head or somebody, right, who has the same profile, but we want to give slightly extra access to, slight extra access to this guy. How can we do it? We can do it with a permission set. So we'll assign the permission set to that particular person or the user, and the profile remains as is. He still has the permission of the profile of sales manager, but the permission set gives him the extra access which he needs as a sales manager head. So that is something, that adds a lot of value with permission sets. And talking about different types of permission sets, we have standard permission sets. This includes like common permissions for features associated with permission set licenses. So you can also assign permission sets a license. It is not mandatory, but if you assign, it will be associated to that particular license, and you cannot change the license going forward. Then what are custom permission sets? Custom permission sets are created by administrators like yourself and myself. We want to create a permission set, so with our own settings, we can do that. That is called a custom permission set. Then there is something called as integration permission set. So this is offered by Salesforce for specific integrations. Only certain permissions are controlled by this permission set, and this is in specific to integration use cases. So it is not something that can be used generically, but it is for integration only. Then we have managed permission sets. These permission sets are probably provided by the app exchange packages like CPQ, and other packages also have their own permission sets which you need to assign, which are linked to the licenses. So this is also a great tool in case you are building an app exchange application. And we have session based permission sets. So these permission sets are rarely used, but are a great hack to be used. So it allows you to give the functional access only during a predefined session type. So we have something called as connected apps in Salesforce, which kind of define your session. So one example is that if a user logs in through that particular connected app, then only this permission set is active. Otherwise, it is not active. So it is again a great hack to keep your system secure. So these are the types of permission sets. Most commonly used ones are the custom permission sets, standard ones, managed permission sets. But yeah, integration and session permission sets are also really important. So moving on to the important points. So permission sets are also based on license, but it is not compulsory, like I mentioned. And if a permission isn't enabled on a profile and that permission is enabled on a permission set, user with that profile and permission set will have that permission, right? So for example, on profile you don't have a view all access to a particular object, but on a permission set you do, so you'll have that access. Then you have a user can be assigned to multiple permission sets. That is something that I already explained. Then permission sets cannot control page layout. This is another important point to remember. You cannot control page layouts by permission sets. And last point, which I forgot to mention here, is there are also permission set groups now available. So you can use permission set groups and group multiple permission sets together and assign that particular group to a particular user. In that case, you don't have to assign multiple permission sets to the same guy. Now let's dive into our DevOps and see how to implement this.
So I've logged into my dev org here. Now I was talking about permission sets.
let's have a scenario here. So let me go to the users. So as in our last session, we created two profiles, sales managers and sales representatives. Now, suppose Nick is also a sales manager here, and Michael is also a sales manager here. Consider that Nick is probably one of the marketing or sales leads here, and we want to give him access to all the accounts in the system, right? So let's check for the profile access if we have the view all access on the profile. So let's search for accounts. Yeah, you see, right? View all access is here. Now suppose we want to give a modify all access to that particular Nick, right? And since Michael and Nick both have the same profiles, we will be using permission sets here. So just to explain a little bit on how to use permission sets. In case you have many users with the same profile and you want to extend an access level to one of the users, permission sets are the go-to thing. So you cannot decrease the access using permission sets, but you can definitely increase the access. So like in this scenario, right? So everybody is having a view all access, read, edit, and create. But if you give modify all access, they will also be able to delete it out, right? So let's go here, search for permission sets, and then hit new. Let's get a new one. Let's put it as sales manager head. You can add a description. Then again, talking about licenses, you can select the license you want based on the profiles. But please make a note that once you have assigned the license, you cannot change the license to that permission set. So as of now, I am skipping this. Let's hit save. Let's go to the object setting. You have kind of similar settings as you have on profiles. So let me go to the object settings. I want to edit account. Let me go to account, hit edit. Now, if you see here, none of the checkboxes are checked. That means they are having no access. No, it means that in this particular permission sets, they are not having access to any of these. But if they have the similar access on profiles, that will definitely follow, and they will have the access to those permissions which are assigned to the profile. So, for example, view all was checked on the profile. That means that view all is already there. Now, if we select modify all, modify all access will be added to that particular person, whoever is assigned this permission set. So just keep that point in mind. Let me hit save. Then you can click on manage assignments. You can add assignment, and let me assign it to Nick, and select Nick, hit next, and say assign. So now this particular permission set we created with the modify all access on account has been assigned to Nick. Now whenever Nick logs in, he can go ahead and view, edit and delete any of the accounts he wants to. So this is really great tool to have. Talking about permission sets group here. So we have something called as permission set groups also. So permission set groups allow you to group permission sets together and then assign those permission sets together to an individual. So it is just a group of probably a collection of permission sets. You can go here, create say sales manager head group, and suppose you want to assign multiple permission sets to the sales manager head, you can add all those permission sets here. Okay, you can click on permission set groups, and you can add a permission set whatever you want, multiple permission sets. Let me add a couple of them here and hit add. Once this is done, you can go back and assign this permission set group to multiple individuals from manage assignments. So this is again a great hack in case you have bundles of permission sets and you want to kind of structure them in a different fashion. So you can use this as well. And another important point to remember is that multiple permission sets can be assigned to a single individual or a single user.
it is not like profiles that only one profile can be assigned to permission sets. And also, secondly, permission sets are also not mandatory to be assigned to a user. A user can exist without a permission set, but having a profile on a user is definitely mandatory. So these were some of the things I wanted to explain, or probably provide demo here. Thanks.